Hi, this is Laurie Itkin. I'm the options lady. I'm a certified divorce financial analyst, also known as a CDFA, practicing throughout the state of California. And I came across this excellent blog article written by Robert Farzad, attorney. He's a founding partner of a law firm that practices in Southern California, specifically Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego. Now, he's written this article, or this blog article, on how is the date of separation determined in a California divorce. For the work I do, the date of marital separation is critical, particularly when I'm doing an analysis on equity compensation, restricted stock units, stock options, and the like. I am trying to apportion the unvested equity compensation between community and separate property. Also, the separate property shares that are available or considered income available for child and spousal support purposes. So that date is critical. When I am a neutral, I may have parties who argue about the date of separation, and I will run the analysis using both dates of separation to see what is the financial impact of using one date over the other. Is it material? Because people can litigate, and they have litigated the date of separation. Sometimes it is quite material, particularly if the date of separation is several years apart from one spouse to the other. Now, let's hone in here. Often I'm a neutral, but when I'm an advocate for one spouse, I'm going to say, if I'm working for the employee spouse, hey, is there any way that you can argue for a date of separation that is long ago? And then if I'm an advocate for the non-employee spouse, I'm going to say, hey, is there any way that you can argue for a date of separation that is very recent? Again, when I'm a neutral, I get to not take sides, and I can just model both dates of separation. But let's go into Attorney Farzad's blog article. So he talks about a California Family Code Section 70. That defines this, but let's go into layman's terms. It's basically the date of separation is when one spouse expresses to the other their intent to end the marriage. But also very important is that you are having behavior that is consistent with the intent to end the marriage. Now, let's talk about the importance of the date of separation. As I've already talked about, one of the assets that people have a lot of their wealth tied up in is equity compensation through their job. And it is presumed that anything acquired during the marriage, defined as from the date of marriage to the date of separation, is community property, and it's presumed that anything acquired is separate property. Now, I'm not a family law attorney. There are many exceptions to this. If you have a complicated situation, you would obviously want to consult with a family law attorney on this issue. But in general, as the example I gave, is obviously for equity compensation, the employee spouse wants that date to be as long ago as possible, and the non-employee spouse wants it as current as possible. Same can be said for assets like a retirement account or a pension. Now, also what Attorney Farzad points out is that, this can impact spousal support because we have, a demarcation, which again, I'm not a family law attorney and there's exceptions, but, assuming the marriage is of a short duration, it may be standard. Let's say you have a 9-year marriage. It may be standard to have spousal support ordered for half the length of the marriage. But if the date of separation drags on, then maybe you have an 11-year marriage. Again, I am not a family law attorney. I don't litigate these issues, but I am certainly aware of these issues in my cases. Now, he provides great tips. What is interesting is when I first started practicing as a CDFA, you needed to be physically separated from your spouse. Somebody had to move out. Again, we're just talking about California. But then the legislature acted. And so now you don't necessarily have to be physically separated, which is such a relief. You know how expensive it is to live in California. Sometimes people can't afford to have two residences while they're negotiating the divorce, while they're separated. So if you are not living apart, what can you do to live separately in the same house? It's a good idea not to sleep in the same room. Do not have meals together. Obviously, don't be intimate with each other. You have to be careful. He suggests separating finances, but he also talks about breaching fiduciary duties. This is a very important issue, so you want to get legal advice on that as well. But, are you presenting as a couple? Are you, going out together? Would your neighbors still think you're married in a committed relationship? So think about how you are being seen by others. But I also think one of the most important points he makes, because again, these dates of separation are litigated, so get some legal advice on this. But I think it's clear you have to say to the other spouse that there's a complete and final breakdown of the marriage. You communicate that, you document that, and you behave consistently. He provides some great tips about how you should keep records of communications, keep evidence that support your claim of separation. And I just think this is a great article to look at. So I have it here. The firm is Farzad and Ochoa, and I'm the options lady, Laurie Itkin. Feel free to reach out to me if I can be helpful on the financial issues of your divorce. Thanks for watching.